Imagine this. You're right in the middle of some big global crisis, or maybe it's something personal, a setback, or, just one of those weeks where everything feels uphill. That pressure, it just builds, right? And it can really feel like everything's working against you. But what if? What if the key to not just getting through it, but actually coming out stronger lies in something as basic, almost, as thankfulness? It's not about pretending the hard stuff isn't happening, but maybe radically changing how you look at it.
It does sound almost too simple, doesn't it? Like, really, just be thankful. But, what we found digging into this, the connection between gratitude and resilience, it's actually incredibly strong. So today, let's unpack that. Let's explore how this mindful practice of thankfulness can genuinely help you bounce back, maybe even stronger, from tough times. We'll look at some surprising science, some real-world stories, and definitely give you some practical ways to, build this mindset yourself.
Okay, let's dig in then. Because when I hear gratitude, I usually think, okay, saying thank you for something nice, right? Appreciating good weather. But the research we looked at, it suggests it's much bigger than that. Almost like a fundamental way of approaching life. What did we find there?
That's a really key point. Some older ideas, maybe call it positive psychology 1.0, they often focus just on chasing happiness, appreciating only the good stuff. But life isn't just good stuff, is it? There's suffering, there are challenges, real difficulties. And this is where a newer approach, positive psychology 2.0, brings in this idea of mature gratitude. It's just a much more complete and frankly, more realistic view. It accepts that, life includes suffering, and the real power, the deep insight, is in figuring out how to embrace those struggles and actually turn them into growth.
Okay, hold on. So you're saying it's not just being grateful when things are easy, but finding gratitude, even when things are really hard. That feels like a huge mental shift, almost counterintuitive maybe.
It really is. And this mature gratitude idea, it kind of has two main parts or dimensions that show this shift. First, there's what they call the horizontal dimension. So that's gratitude for both the good times, the prosperity, and the bad times, the adversity. Being thankful for, a good cup of coffee, a friend's support, that's the easier part. We get that. But the tougher part, the one that really makes a difference, is finding gratitude for the difficult things, like a broken appliance that makes you simplify, or a really disheartening event that forces you to adapt, or even, a difficult person who teaches you something like patience.
Wow. Okay. Grateful for frustration or for failing at something. That feels like it goes against every instinct. And isn't there a risk of it becoming, that toxic positivity thing, just ignoring how bad something feels? How do you find genuine gratitude there?
Yeah, that's a really fair challenge. And no, it's definitely not about toxic positivity or denying pain. Not at all. It's about a really deep shift in how you see things. When people face their own limits, especially during a crisis, how fragile life can feel, how things can change instantly, that awareness can actually paradoxically make them more grateful for life itself. For instance, we looked at a study, it found that existential gratitude, which means being grateful for the whole experience of life, good and bad, that actually predicted better well-being for people with PTSD symptoms. But here's the interesting part. Gratitude for only the good things didn't have that same positive link. So it suggests the real power comes from embracing the whole messy, complex picture, finding the lesson or the strength, even in the discomfort.
Right, so that's where the growth happens. Seeing those mistakes, as one source called them, those things we see as errors, not as negatives, but as like assets for growth.
Exactly, assets on your personal balance sheet, And then there's the second dimension, the vertical dimension of mature gratitude. This is more about gratitude for things beyond the everyday. Things like cosmic gratitude, just awe for the universe, or gratitude towards a higher power, if that's part of your belief system, or even just gratitude for art, for music, for culture, that sense of being connected to something much bigger than just yourself.
So feeling that sense of awe, or maybe a spiritual connection, that can boost this feeling of gratitude.
Yes, that seems to be the case based on the research. Spirituality or religiousness often goes hand in hand with a greater tendency towards gratitude. For many people, faith can help them see benefits even in hard times, or find a deeper meaning in suffering. It can help frame hardship as a lesson or part of a larger plan, which naturally strengthens gratitude. But, and this is important, people who aren't religious can absolutely experience this deep existential gratitude too. It's not necessarily directed at anything specific, just a profound appreciation for being alive, for existence itself. That feeling of awe and connection.
Okay, this is where it gets really fascinating for me, the actual science. How does just feeling thankful actually change our brains? It sounds a bit, Simplistic, maybe.
Yeah, it sounds simple, but neurologically, it's actually quite complex and amazing. When you actively feel or express gratitude, it literally lights up reward pathways in your prefrontal cortex. And this isn't just some vague happy zone. This part of the brain is crucial for, complex thinking, making decisions, managing emotions. So when it gets activated by gratitude, it releases neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin, the feel-good chemicals. This isn't just a temporary lift. It's a direct chemical process where gratitude actively creates feelings of happiness, contentment, even calm.
So you're saying practicing gratitude consistently actually physically rewires our brains, like building new pathways.
Exactly right. Think of it like building a muscle. Every time you practice gratitude, you're strengthening the neural pathways that help you notice and focus on positive things. Over time, this literally changes how your brain defaults. You start to develop a more optimistic outlook almost automatically. Your decision-making can improve, and you get much better at regulating your emotions. It becomes this positive feedback loop. Your brain gets better at finding the good, which makes it easier to cope, which reinforces the gratitude. It almost makes optimism your go-to setting.
And the ripple effects of this rewiring, like we saw in the sources, they seem huge, touching pretty much every part of well-being.
Oh, absolutely. It's not just about feeling a bit happier in the moment. Practicing gratitude actively cuts down stress and anxiety because you're consciously shifting your focus away from worries. It can seriously improve sleep, too. Focusing on positive things before bed helps you drift off faster and sleep more soundly. And connecting it all, gratitude builds emotional resilience. Not that bad things don't hurt, but you handle them better. You're more likely to find the silver lining, or at least the lesson, in tough situations.
And it's not just mental, right?
Yeah.
Our bodies actually react to this practice too.
Totally. That positive brain chemistry translates physically. It can lead to lower levels of cortisol, the main stress hormone. It's linked to reduced blood pressure, and there's even evidence suggesting it might improve immune function, probably by lowering stress-related inflammation. And then there are the broader effects, just greater overall happiness, more life satisfaction. It encourages personal growth because you reflect more, build self-awareness, and can even spur on healthier habits and mindfulness. It's really a holistic boost.
That's quite the toolkit for navigating life.
Yeah.
And we saw this play out so clearly recently, didn't we, during the COVID-19 pandemic? Our sources really pointed to this as a huge, real-world test case for gratitude.
Definitely. The pandemic was like a global pressure cooker. We faced massive threats all at once. Illness, fear for our lives, economic collapse, job losses, isolation. Anxiety and depression rates just soared. But study after study from 2020 showed that people who practiced gratitude reported significantly less anxiety, less depression, and just generally felt better, had higher well-being during that incredibly difficult time.
So even with those huge, overwhelming threats everywhere, gratitude acted like a buffer. Can you give some specific examples from the research?
Yeah, absolutely. Think about healthcare workers. Nurses, under unimaginable stress, actually reported increased gratitude for support from colleagues, family, even the public. And this wasn't just a quick thanks. It led to real psychological growth. They reflected on their values, faced mortality head-on, and found strength in the midst of it all. And there was that Microsoft study, remember? It showed that just a simple daily grateful reflection practice had a positive impact for nearly half their employees, and over a third felt more in control during that chaos. It really showed that when you're confronted with how fragile life is, your appreciation for it can actually deepen and make you stronger.
And beyond the direct threats, there were all those boundaries, right? The lockdowns, the physical distancing, which felt a lot like social isolation for many. I remember that initial resistance, especially in places where individual freedom is really prized.
That's right. A lot of people felt like their rights were being trampled. But even then, think about the waves of gratitude we saw. Remember the clapping for frontline workers every evening in some countries? That was a massive, spontaneous show of collective thanks. And the research mentioned patients being incredibly grateful just to keep receiving medical care when systems were overloaded. Or carers finding gratitude for the unexpected, intense time at home with family during lockdown, allowing deeper connections. Gratitude seemed to lead to more adaptive, more community-minded responses. It fostered that crucial sense of, we're all in this together. Studies even link strengths like gratitude and spirituality, they called them transcendent strengths, to less psychological distress and a greater sense of being able to cope with lockdown.
So it sounds like gratitude wasn't just an individual coping tool. It actually helped people connect and pull together when they felt cut off and stressed.
It really did seem to. It helped people manage the negative feelings from lockdown and protect their mental health. Oh, and there was an interesting side note. One study found that students from lower socioeconomic backgrounds actually reported more gratitude early in the pandemic than those from higher SES backgrounds. The thinking was maybe something called a gain-loss framing. The higher SES students felt they were losing more, like routines and opportunities, while the lower SES students maybe felt less loss, or even some unexpected gains or stability in certain ways during that initial phase. Just an interesting nuance.
This whole conversation, it seems to be pointing beyond just bouncing back, doesn't it? Our sources brought up this really compelling idea of becoming anti-fragile. What does that actually mean? And how does gratitude fit in there?
Right, so resilience is bouncing back to where you were before the shock. Anti-fragility is different. It means you don't just recover from challenges, you actually get stronger because of them. The bigger the stressor, the more capable, the more insightful you become afterwards. We found this incredible real-world example, a company that faced absolute financial disaster. Layoffs, bank balance hit zero. Just a complete nightmare.
Yeah, that sounds like the end for most companies. How could gratitude possibly help there?
Well, that crisis, that existential threat, it forced them to do something really fundamental. Figure out and articulate their core purpose, their core values, their why. They had to strip everything back to basics. And they came out of it not just surviving, but with huge growth, a much stronger company culture, even a new service they launched. They called themselves a 100-year-old startup afterwards. And the key was they learned to be grateful not just for eventually succeeding, but specifically for the failures, for the hardship itself. Because those mistakes gave them wisdom and strength, they couldn't have gotten any other way. Their motto became, "Obstacles make me stronger."
That is such a powerful example. Okay, so for all of us listening, wanting to cultivate this, how do we actually do it? What are the practical things you can start doing today to build this anti-fragile, grateful mindset?
Well, the absolute gold standard, backed by tons of research, is gratitude journaling. It sounds simple, maybe even a bit cliche, but it is incredibly powerful.
And it doesn't have to take long, right? Like
Yeah.
5 minutes a day. The research suggested that tiny investment can boost long-term well-being by over 10%, which is apparently comparable to doubling your income. That's wild.
It's a massive return, yeah. And it works because it literally trains your brain to shift focus away from the negative loop, which directly lowers stress and anxiety, like we talked about. It builds that emotional resilience muscle, improves sleep because you're ending the day positively, and it even strengthens relationships because you start appreciating people more and actually telling them. Over time, yeah, it rewires your brain to actively look for the good, making happiness and satisfaction feel available, more default.
Okay, so if someone listening wants to start right now, what are your top tips for making a gratitude journal actually stick and be effective?
Right. First, pick your tool. Could be a nice notebook, an app, even just a note on your phone, whatever works for you. Second, routine is key. Link it to something you already do. First thing in the morning, maybe, or right before bed. Consistency matters. Third, and this is crucial, be specific. Don't just write, "I'm grateful for my family," write why. "I'm grateful my sister called today and we laughed about that silly thing from childhood. It felt really connecting." 3 to 5 specific things daily is a good target. Really reflect for a moment on why it felt good. And lastly, maybe once in a while, look back at old entries. It's amazing to see patterns of joy, and it reminds you of how you got through tough times before.
What about the common roadblocks, though? Like forgetting to do it or running out of things to write or feeling like you're just writing the same stuff over and over?
Totally normal challenges. For forgetting, link it to a habit like brushing teeth or set a reminder. Simple fix. If you're stuck, ask super simple questions. What one good thing happened today, however small? Who was kind to me? Tiny things count: a nice interaction, sunshine, anything. Short on time, just write one thing. Seriously, one is better than none. Or even just say it into your phone as a voice note. Feeling repetitive. Push yourself to be more specific about the why. Why was that specific moment good? Doubting it works. Just stick with it. Like exercise, the real benefits build over time. You won't feel transformed overnight. And on truly awful days, be grateful for the absolute basics: shelter, food, breath. Or try to find gratitude for what the hardship is teaching you, even if it's painful. There are really no rules. Just engage with it.
And besides journaling, are there other practical ways people can weave gratitude into their lives?
Oh yeah, definitely. Gratitude letters are incredibly powerful. Writing and maybe even delivering a letter to someone who made a real positive difference in your life. It's huge for both people. Mindful gratitude is another one. In a stressful moment, consciously pause and shift your focus to find one thing you're grateful for right then and there. It can short-circuit anxiety really effectively. And just making it a habit to say thank you more often, genuinely, in everyday conversation, that really boosts relationships.
I really like the idea of making it communal too, not just a solo practice.
Yes. Gratitude rituals within families or communities are fantastic. Talking about things you're thankful for at dinner, maybe a family gratitude jar where you write down things and read them later, or even gratitude boards at work or school. These things build connection, boost collective well-being, and just create a more positive, supportive atmosphere for everyone. It lifts the whole group.
This whole deep dive really drives home that cultivating this mature gratitude, acknowledging the good and the hard stuff isn't just some fluffy feel-good idea. It's actually a really solid, science-backed way to build serious mental health, emotional strength, and genuine resilience. It's how you build that anti-fragile spirit that actually gets stronger from life's knocks.
It's a fundamental perspective shift, really, moving from just reacting to challenges to actively finding the potential for growth and strength within them. Every experience becomes a part of your toolkit.
So for everyone listening, as you go about your day-to-day, maybe take a moment. Think about a past mistake or a challenge you're facing right now. Can you look at it differently? Ask yourself, what wisdom, what strength, what unexpected growth might be hidden in there for you? Challenge yourself to see if even the toughest moments could actually become valuable assets looking back. What's one small thing right now that you can feel genuinely grateful for, even if things feel a bit chaotic?
Give it a try. Explore this practice for yourself. You might just unlock a depth of resilience and strength inside you that you never knew you had.